curator to now we have a full-time director. So the museum has been going forth slowly but surely over those years. And of course, the all-volunteer board and docents continue to be critical to the operation of the museum. The museum's collection continues to grow as we have become the main repository for historical records, photos, maps, surveys, and artifacts relating to the town and county. Our art collection also continues to grow. Unfortunately, many of these items have been placed in off-site storage, including my building, as we don't have sufficient space in the museum to store them or to properly display them. So they're scattered around and they need a home. Staff members share an office, which also serves as storage space. So folks, basically we have outgrown this building that served the community for 38 years. Due to our size limitations, we're unable to accept some donations, unable to properly display some of our collection, unable to access traveling exhibitions from the Virginia Historical Society or the Smithsonian, and unable to have more events or history chats, art classes, all the things that we ought to be able to do. Over 2 years ago, we began studying the feasibility of expanding the present museum building. Our current building has just under 2,600 square feet, and we were looking to add a 3,000-foot addition. We had 2 different architectural firms provide us with very preliminary concept drawings and along with ballpark cost estimates. And we replied, as part of that, we applied for and received a planning grant for the expansion from the Appalachian Regional Commission. But during our consideration of the cost of what these building costs, there's going to be a lot of on-site work, storm sewer, and things like that related. When looking at all these expenses, we also came to realize that the former Bank of Christiansburg, Wells Fargo building was vacant, and that building has approximately 15,000 square feet. And although it wasn't listed for sale, we was able to get in touch with the present owner to see if there was any interest in selling the properties. In our negotiations, it was determined that the property could be purchased for less than the assessed value, although real estate prices have risen considerably since the last assessment, which I believe was 2018. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Wade now to discuss some of our analysis.
Mayor Barber, members of council, I too would like to thank you for the opportunity to come before you tonight to with our request. After doing a thorough analysis of adding to the existing building versus buying the bank building downtown, the decision was easy for us. In addition to quite a financial savings, we can occupy the bank building almost immediately, where the addition to the existing building would take 2 to 3 years. Also, this amount of space would serve the needs of the museum for many years into the future, and we could never find a better location. With the agreed to purchase price of $1,250,000 for the property, plus an estimated $350,000 of enhancements, which includes an elevator, other changes to make the building more ADA compliant, and some needed updates, we're seeking to raise $1.6 million. In order to ensure the building purchase, 3 board members agreed to finance any money that is not raised during the capital campaign. We have a contract with the seller with the closing date to be February 28, 2022. That works well for both the buyer and the seller, since the seller's terms on the lease has Wells Fargo paying them through that period. And during that period, it allows us to raise as much funds as we can. We started the capital campaign in late September. Currently, through this silent campaign, we have raised over $560,000 in funds and pledges with other donations pending. We will kick off the public phase of our capital campaign in November with a press conference, press releases, and an open house. With the 15,000 square feet in the bank building, we plan to lease some of the building for office space to cover the increase in operating costs. Our current plans are to keep the property at 300 Pepper Street in order to save the historical building and community garden. We plan to maintain the garden and lease the building at a price which will cover the operating costs. We have approached and are requesting funding in the amount of $50,000 from each of the 3 local governments. All 3 have been approached. We are hoping you will set an example for the other 2 local governments and grant our request for $50,000. And thank you for your time. Casey will speak to the future plans after we acquire the museum.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. It's hard to go after Ernie and Bob together, but I just want to reiterate a couple things that in terms of the town's purview and how the museum benefits the town moving forward. I'm very mindful of Destination 2022 and what that means and the role the museum can play as we kind of reshape and help move Christiansburg forward. And then I'm also mindful of the placemaking plan, excuse me, that the Regional Commission did for the town a couple years ago as well. These and other plans are what make the museum a viable source for downtown as we move forward. I think it's no secret we're starting to see downtown and Christiansburg at large, that profile is changing. People are coming to this area, they want things to do, and seeing an arts, history, and culture becomes a huge part of that tourism draw, and for residents and tourists alike here in the area. And so that's a great resource that we can provide, not just to Christiansburg, but to Montgomery County at large. And you guys know my heart has always been here in Christiansburg, and nothing makes me happier to run this museum with these guys behind me here as we move forward. So those and other plans really help play a role as the museum moves forward, really moving Christiansburg into the future as well, dare I say. And that's what's really, really exciting about this, is continuing to turn that profile as we move forward and continuing to make Christiansburg the best place to live, work, and play. And the museum plays a huge part in that quest. So as we come before you, the first of the 3 governments here to ask for $50,000, I just want you guys to be mindful of that as you discuss and think about that. And I hope you guys share in the excitement and I hope you guys share in the excitement that the museum has and the value that we can contribute moving forward as a cultural destination. Our tagline is "Museum growing with its community," and Christiansburg is growing quite a bit, and our museum can play a big factor in what that looks like moving forward. So we hope you'll take that request, and we're also here to answer any other questions that you may have, and we really appreciate it.
Questions?
I just have one about parking. I guess you can go down the lower part, or let's say there's going to be 30 people going to the museum at one time.
That would be a good day. No, seriously. In front, the town space is in front. I think there's 5 directly in front of the building, 2 next to the northeast quadrant of the square. And then in the back of the building, there's 8 against the building, and I believe we have about 5 or 6 more, so there's about 14 parking spaces in the back. We also have an agreement with the seller over his remaining property. Once we fill our spaces, we have an overflow agreement for up to 20 spaces on that property that's in the back. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all so much.
Next on the agenda is citizens' comments. Anyone wishing to address council, name and address. Address your comments to the chair and limit yourself to 3 minutes, please. Thank you. Anyone here to address council? Yes, ma'am. You can remove your mask if you're comfortable, if you feel comfortable.
Thank you. My name is Corinne Bookout, and I'm a homeowner at 200 Darcy Drive, where my intellectually disabled daughter, who I'm full legal guardian and custodian of, resides. I'm here to discuss kind of the plan going forward with Go Anywhere Bus. She has worked at Falling Branch Elementary School for the last 3 years. She utilizes the bus daily to get to and from work. with the changes coming forward, cutting the what I understand, really just from Facebook page, not any formal knowledge, but you're cutting your fleet from 3 to 1. And they're also cutting the reservation time that you have to call every other day to schedule out to guarantee that you have that spot. I mean, she's had the same work schedule for the last 3 years. I don't foresee the Montgomery County School schedule changing, but you have to call and call and call. You get a busy signal, you get put on hold. She's trying to get ready for work and having to call like this. I mean, cutting out the routes to Virginia Tech has impacted our disabled and elderly citizens. But this is a vital, when I tell people, when they ask me, how does she get to work? Or how do you, and I'm like, oh, we have this awesome service in the town of Christiansburg. I just really want you to reconsider and really think about the impact of those that are elderly and disabled, and maybe make an exception if they have Medicaid or Medicare, and this is their only means of transportation and accessing our community. To really take that in consideration, I saw that there was a statistic that only 120 people used it in the month of August. You know, but have you really looked at who, when? I passed all 3, if there's only a fleet of 3, on 460 bypass this morning between 8:35 and 8:40, between getting on at I-81 and getting off on Cambria Street. I was following one bus and the other 2 were coming in the opposite direction. So, I mean, maybe look at, if you're going to decrease the fleet, maybe you keep a second bus that runs at certain hours of the day, so you catch that high impact time of early morning and early afternoon. Just some considerations that I'd like to bring forward for you to think about.
Thank you, Ms. Buckout. And I believe there is a discussion about the bus system later in the meeting. Is that correct, Mr. Wingfield?
That's correct.
Okay.
Councilman and mayor and council persons. I've never formally introduced myself. My name is Don Upham. I live on the western edge of Reiner, and I'm currently a substitute teacher in Montgomery County Public Schools, including I've taught at several of the Christiansburg schools. I've been attending these meetings for the last number of months. First of all, in obedience to the exhortation in 1 Timothy chapter 2, I exhort, therefore, that first of all, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men, for kings, and for all in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceful life in godliness and honesty. My background is I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Industrial Arts, a Master of Science degree in Education and Fire Administration. I was a Navy helicopter and fixed-wing pilot. I had a 24-year career with the LA County Fire Department, served as a paramedic, and for 8 years, and an EMT trainer. Then I also was a chaplain and welfare officer for 5 years, full-time in the department. And then I was tasked to form a new county agency in accordance with state law that had just been published, having to do with the risk management prevention programs for the spills of acutely toxic materials. And so we addressed 400 manufacturers, processors, or handlers of acutely toxic materials and assisted them in doing risk assessments and pre-plans for mitigation if they should have a spill. And I had to start that agency, budget it, fund it, and also amended some state legislation. In the last part of my career, I was a battalion chief, and I served as the regulatory officer for fire and life safety on the construction of the Red Line Metro Rail subway underneath Hollywood and out to Universal Studios. I retired in 2000 on a disability retirement and went back to thing I've been doing as a volunteer for a number of years, and started a video production company, which eventually turned into a legal video company, recording depositions and expert witness testimony. We moved here to Reiner in 2016 after I'd been hired by Virginia Tech to evaluate the use of WebEx in the classroom and for connecting to other classrooms. And at my recommendation and promotion, we eventually switched to Zoom at the university. I left the university in September last year for health issues with my wife. But one of the things that has been in my background has been research and trying to find the truth about everything that's going on. And I have been doing a lot of searching of truth of what's going on with the current COVID pandemic. In the process, I have sent to the school board, where I also pray, and to town council members information that I have verified and believed to be true. On the last email that I sent to the town council was undelivered as I was blocked from the town council. I'm not sure who did the blocking, but I was blocked from all 7 of you, including the mayor. I'm just trying to provide information that I believe to be true and you might find helpful in the future.
Can you leave a copy of that email and maybe we can look at our IT? I mean, thank you. And for the clerk record, would you spell your last name?
Upham, U-P-H-A-M.
Okay. Thank you.
Randy, could you let us know what happened there?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, and also Town Council members. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. The reason why I'm here is I wanted to get an update on the College Street flooding.
Your name?
A year ago, Henry Guest is my name.
Thank you, Henry.
I forgot. We know each other. I forget, so call me there. But thank you again for allowing me to speak. So what kind of update do we have from a year ago where Town Council met, discussed $86,000, $84,000 that was approved later on for a third party? I had talked to, just before the meeting started, the assistant town manager about how this was going to play about. Is it all words? Was something done? What's an update?
Would you like to give an update, Andy?
I actually did that at the last council meeting, but I can give you another update. Basically, right now we have got an engineering study going on. There's an application that we are going to seek for a resiliency plan for that area. That is because it is not within the 100-year floodplain. It would be eligible for, I guess, more funding if it were within the floodplain. But the resiliency plan will hopefully open us up to a little bit more pools of funding. We would want to seek grants for that project, and we would want to budget for that next fiscal year. As I told council at the last meeting, if we were to pursue a grant for that, I would hope that it would be approximately half funding for the project. If we seek revenue sharing, that's 50-50 funding. And I would want to get a grant if we could. Like I say, I would want to budget for it. If we can wait to get a grant the following year, I'd recommend putting the money in the reserves for the following year, though. Okay. But I would budget for it either way, just like I told council last council meeting.
Thank you. My time is running short. Thank you for that update.
Sure.
I do
No, I don't
appreciate
charge
it.
you for that.
I'm sorry.
I don't charge you for that.
Oh, thank you very much. I forgot to stop my stopwatch when you started, but I'll get to the point. So, Wayne, Mike Kelly, and Wayne. I know Wayne's retired now. Mike, I believe, is still on staff, according to the assistant town manager. They gave a wonderful presentation on what needed to be done last time with a potential retention pond, taking the water that comes off of Main Street and keeping it on Main Street, possibly fixing the engineered for the town, for the county actually, the retention pond for the middle school. They need to move that culvert that releases water the size of a swimming pool to up at the top end at the intersection before you go to the middle school, so that the pond actually fills up before it starts flooding down. On September 21st, it seems like every year around the 21st, 22nd, 20th of September, we get rains. It flooded our backyard. I got water in my front yard from the water coming from the middle school retention pond. Again, all words. They came out, they did interviews. You challenged them, Randy, if I'm not mistaken, to go out and talk to the town council did. Talk to us. They did. We thought things were moving forward. Nothing. All words. So I'm not sure if building parks, where a $3 million park was approved in December, they cut dirt in March. Mr. Mayor, I sat in your office. You invited me, and I appreciate that, without any appointment. And you told me that since the 1960s, it was also brought up here at the meeting, nothing has been done. There was an appropriation of millions of dollars that was supposed to fix this problem a long time ago. If $1 of that was spent on a park screw, then, you know, we might have some problems here with appropriating money, because it's getting very tiring to have flooding in our backyard. I told the assistant town manager, we can't have a garden in our backyard. I built from Virginia Tech Logistics College, I get pallets. My wife's garden is built on top of pallets, with a pallet inside of pallets, and pallets around that pallet, because flooding takes away our garden. So something needs to be done besides empty words. A puppy has already died from flooding. A child could be playing in the yard innocently and gets swept away, as my wife explained a year ago, over a year ago. Is it all words? I'm beginning to wonder, Mr. Mayor, if maybe what you told me in your office, and I apologize for saying things, but I'm going to say it. You said to me that maybe the best thing to do is buy all of our homes at market value, lower everything, and fix that retention pond and fix the flooding area. Maybe that's the answer. And maybe, just maybe, finding a mayor that will actually get to the bottom of this and get it done. Since 1960s, we're in the 21st century, a quarter of a century into the 21st century. Why?
You have about 30 seconds.
I think it's all words, unless action is done. Be committed, be safe. They're all words. Town council evidently does not care about the citizens' safety, and you're not committed, as you were last year, to get this done. Thank you again for allowing me to speak. On behalf of all the College Street flooded people, residents, taxpayers, I thank you.
That study is underway, is that correct?
Correct. We did a basin study last year, and that's like broader basin study. And right now it's undergoing physical design.
Okay, thank you.
Randy, has all the residents signed off on that yet? I think we were waiting on one or two.
We've talked to the neighborhood about possibility of easements, but we haven't secured easements from the neighborhood. And we have talked to some of the upstream property owners about the possibility of retention ponds too, because that's probably needed in the design.
And what's the estimate of the project?
It will be in the millions. I don't want to give you an exact estimate until we're done with final design, but it will definitely be in the millions.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Next.
Good evening. My name is Jason Diggs. I'm the newly appointed postmaster of Christiansburg, the town of Christiansburg. And I just wanted to come and introduce myself to you all because I will be attending some of these meetings to find out more about what's going on in the town of Christiansburg as far as its growth and development as it affects the Postal Service and its letter carriers. I want to reiterate on what this gentleman talked about on College Street. Actually, I live up above College Street, and I sent a picture of diagrams of the water that comes from the retention pond in the new developed area, which is above me, which was supposed to be a slow seeping retention pond. However, it comes through my yard as a Niagara Falls retention pond, coming through the back of my yard and running down to College Street and floods their neighborhood. So yes, I am too waiting for something to be done about that. And it's been a long time. I've been there 20 years and this has not subsided and we haven't done anything with it. Back to me, as far as the post office goes. just wanted to introduce myself to you all and let you know that I'm available for anything that you need to talk with me about. If you have issues or problems, like I said, I'll be attending these meetings. One project that I have that we need to actually look at is that where we raise our flag up, there's a tree that's right there by the flag, and it's shredding our flags as we raise them up. We couldn't even put it at half-mast for the general's death because the trees were catching the flags and ripping them apart. I've talked with some people with the town about trying to get that taken care of, and they said they're working on it, and as soon as they can, they will. Another thing that we're doing down at the post office that's on Main Street, we have little issues there as far as a tree that's dying. So I'm trying to get that taken care of. That's a project we're working on. The other thing, because that building is an historical building in the town of Christiansburg, 1936 I think it was established or built, there's some renovation that needs to happen with that building. And I want a partnership with the town because it's an historic building. As far as trying to do some upgrades and restore that to its earlier glory, so to speak. So I'm looking forward to doing that with the town of Christiansburg and those involved. If you can let me know who's the person to talk with who handles the historical buildings in the town, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments, questions?
You're talking about the post office, is that right, to upgrade the post office?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I mean, doesn't the post office department handle that?
We do some work on it, yeah. But if it's a historical situation, we're needing a lot of work done to that. And so that's why I'm asking for a partnership. Because actually when the post office decides what they're going to do with it, if they decide to close the building, there'll be no more downtown post office. And I think years ago, I've been here 35 years, and I think years ago, the town pushed the post office to maintain that building because it has a mural in it that's historic also. And so with that being said, you know, I would like to try to get some help from the town as far as trying to get that done. But if not, I'll still be working through the postal system itself to try to get that restored. So.
Thank you, Mr.
Leaving
Dixon.
the post office open, that was a good move, because you guys do a great deal of business right there, don't you?
We do a fair amount of business, yes. Mhm.
Okay.
So,
Yes,
I really
ma'am.
appreciate you coming out here today
Yes.
to introduce yourself.
Yes.
That was really nice.
All right.
What kind of help are you really wanting from the town of Christiansburg? You mentioned that you want help, but is that
Probably in the
financially?
form of-
I know the tree, it's something that possibility Public Works can take care of, but as far as anything else, what are
And
you
I've
looking
talked
for?
with Public Works about that tree that's dying, and the bark is coming off of the tree, and it's right there by power lines. So it's hard to get someone. I've talked with the town about contracting those tree cutters that may be able to handle that, and they don't want to touch that because of the power lines around it. So I then contacted APCO. So right now I'm working with APCO to try to see if they'll cut that down for us and get that out of the way so that it won't be a problem, because that tree is dying and I can see it falling into the road. Or falling and knocking down the power line and shutting down all the power in downtown Christiansburg. So I don't want that to happen. You all don't want that to happen. So that's why, you know, I'm asking for a little assistance in that respect too. But the building itself is a historical building, like I said, and it needs some work. And you know, maybe getting me in touch with people who could actually do the restoration. And then I'll get with the Postal Service headquarters and find out if they're able to allow that to happen. And so we'll work from there. But like I said, I'll be at these meetings throughout, so we can talk about
Have
that
you
as we
prepared a
go.
list of the renovations that you need so that whomever, when we see what they may be, may direct us in whom to talk to?
Yes.
Have you got that list, or will you have that
I
list?
don't have it with me tonight, but I can create that.
Sure.
Matter of fact, I'll touch on another point. I don't want to take up all the time, but with the new development on Market Street, I met with the developer today as far as the way that they're going to have the mailboxes set up for that area, and got a plat of that and how all that is working. So I'll be putting locks and things into these containers for the businesses to start using the mail out there. So the developer has already got that together. He's talked with me. We're working together to try to complete that project. So that's on its works too.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
Real quick about the tree, where is the tree located that's dying? Is that the one right down here?
Yes,
on the corner?
it's right on Franklin. It's on the side of Franklin Street, and it's near the back of the post office.
Okay.
If I could bring up something too, sir, when you mentioned the flooding in your home, is when Shaw Development builds the development that's gonna happen on Moose and part of College Street, it's gonna create another disaster situation with water coming down and stopping.
Thank
and
you.
water getting out the street.
Henry, you've had your time. Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
Do you have a question?
May I, Commissioner, want to make a brief remark to Mr. Guest and whoever's watching about College Street.
Okay.
Okay, been on council 15 years, this last few meetings. We've solved a lot of drainage problems in this town, especially of late with our aggressive engineering department seeking funding grants, with our stormwater utility that's 100% dedicated to fixing problems, and I won't go down that list. But I'm also a civil engineer practicing in this area, and I can assure you, since last year, this, I believe, the College Street is our most important infrastructure project, and we're following the natural course. I think we're aggressively pursuing a solution on that. It has a hydrologic component, has a hydraulic component. We have to know what needs to be done. We have to demonstrate that we know what needs to be done, and we have to show there's a property issue component to make sure that we can do it. Then you can actually program a project and get the funding. So I would just say we're cowboy and cowgirls up on this since last year. Now, I understand the past, we can't change that, but I do want to reinforce to you and our community that we have been aggressively fixing problems around town. But I would say now that is job one as we sunset. So I'm only one person, but we talk, and College Street, I would say, is job one for us. So it is not on the back burner, it's on the front burner, and I think it's going to stay on the front burner as we move into the next year.
Thank you, and I appreciate that very much. I don't want to take up any more time.
Thank you.
I can't see your name, sir, from there.
Stipes.
Oh, Mr. Stipes. I'll be following
Stripes
you
with
in
no
regards
R.
to this.
Stripes
Thank
with
you
no
so
R.
much.
Very good. Anyone else?
I'm Bob Hoff again at 440 Arrowhead Trail, and I just want to thank, in case I don't have another opportunity, thank Mr. Stipes, Mr. Hubbard, and Mrs. Sachs for your service to the town. Sorry to see you going off council, but really enjoyed my interactions with you over the past number of years. Started out serving with Mr. Stipes on the Planning Commission, so but thank y'all for your work, and thank all the council for your work for the citizens, but just want to say especially to y'all that's going off. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Charles Robbins, or some of you may know me as Dustin. That's just my middle name. It's what I go by most of the time. I live at 1720 Old Farm Village Road here in Christiansburg, and I've got a written speech, but it's all been sent out to you. It's supposed to be in the minutes, so I'm only going to abbreviate it because it doesn't meet the 3-minute threshold. So in a letter to Dr. Price from Thomas Jefferson back in 1789, Jefferson wrote, "Whenever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government, that whenever things get so far wrong as to attract their notice, the public," which is what that means, "may be relied on to set them right. The Declaration of Independence actually backs this up, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men derived from just powers from the consent of the governed," that's the people, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Now, I realize this may sound a bit off coming from someone not in politics or a member of the public that people can come to, and wanting to give a much needed history lesson to the council and the public. Let me emphasize this right now. Aside from the reasons of my coming here today, I do not in any way, shape, form, or fashion want to change how we are governed, just who governs us. I simply want to change what's happening to my town through very specifically one person. And I'm sorry it sounds like I'm attacking you, ma'am, but I'm not, and it's Councilwoman Hicks. The fact of the matter is, in the last year, you haven't actually done any governing. You aren't engaging with the public. You aren't helping make this town a better place to live in. In the past year, you've caused a free and open forum through comments on YouTube, which is where this is broadcast right now, to be shut down because people are so against you, they're being vulgar, and that's just kind of bad for the town in general. You've been openly accused of various bad business practice and slumlording-like acts with no consequences, causing citizens to not only lose trust in the council here, but think politicians are completely immune to the law in this town. You've lost the trust of politicians at both the state and federal level from ever wanting to visit or come to Christiansburg ever again. And what bothers me the most is this. You've privately criticized and warned at least one citizen about me, a person who has openly supported our current mayor, but who I vote for shouldn't matter at all. This isn't a third world country like Rwanda or Sudan, where literally any other country whose government allows this for fear of losing their own power. You just can't attack citizens. And just who I vote for shouldn't matter. I know this is something that you think I'm just here trying to support my current mayor. I support whoever's in office. Who's mayor doesn't matter. It could be someone from Timbuktu that's a naturalized citizen. I really don't care. I'm going to work with them as an activist and a lobbyist in this town for the people.
You have about a minute.
Citizens come to me with all kinds of problems. I try to be their voice. But that's become a lot harder because now they're not asking me about issues. They're asking me what to do about you. And I know it's not a very good idea of me to ask this, but I'm going to anyway because I'm tired of being stuck in the middle of this drama. I haven't slept in weeks because I'm getting warnings in the middle of the night about tactics, about things you're saying. You want me to take things down that you have publicly criticized me about to other people. I'm just starting to be openly frightened of you, Miss Hicks, and it scares me. While it doesn't matter if you were to have a vote right now to vote her off the council, and I can provide you an insane amount of proof of things she has done wrong under Code 2.53, which is misfeasance and malfeasance. I hate those words. Misfeasance and malfeasance against the town, I think is what it says, where she falls under the malfeasance clause, which is simply wrongdoing, where wrongdoing under the law isn't really defined very well. But I would ask that once the election is done, to vote her off. Because if you vote her off now, she can be elected as mayor and it won't matter. I would like you to just consider this, please. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing no one, I've closed the public hearing, sir. Citizens' comments. All righty. Are there any committee reports?
Mr. Barber, there were people that were gonna speak.
I don't know where they were. I mean,
They
if you,
just walked down.
who was it, do you know? I mean, if there's a gentleman, there was a gentleman sitting in the back.
I think his name Bob.
I don't know what, I mean, I gave every
He
opportunity.
raised his hand to speak.
If he would like to come back and speak, he can come back and speak. If he's gone, he's gone.
Mark, can you ask the gentleman if he still wants to speak?
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't see your hand.
No problem. Good evening. My name is Bob Beard. I live on Flint Drive. I'm new to Christiansburg, and I guess a former Monday morning quarterback where just voted and complained and didn't do much about it. So I'm new to this, and I'm just hearing that those last comments, it just made my jaw drop and my heart sink. I've known John for a little while, and you know. To me, she's got one of the biggest hearts, and she's gone out of her way on numerous occasions to help me and my family on some issues and so forth. So it just baffles me. Said I haven't, I don't know the whole history, but all I'm saying is she does have a great heart. I know she's working, she's blood, sweat, and tears for Christiansburg and for our community, and so I just wanted to just say those things.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Is anyone else to address council? Close citizens' comments. Are there any committee reports?
We have a central business tomorrow at noon.
Okay. Street committee, nothing going on there?
We want to bring that our action up.
You can if you like. They authorized signage and striping at the intersection of High Street and Craig Street.
We won't burden council unless you're interested. Would you like to know a traffic improvement that we're making at the corner of Craig Street and
High Street?
And High Street.
I sat in on the meeting for a few minutes, and I thought it was pretty evident how you're going to do it. And
I didn't want to burden council with a routine.
It's fine.
It's a pretty benign change.
It's a pretty benign change, but street committee is
changed. All right. Thank you.
And I do want to say the staff has been so fantastic in looking at low cost, high impact improvements. And it was also brought to my attention that what we talked about a couple months ago at the intersection of Depot and Stone Street is in place and under rave reviews by the residents there. But our engineering department gets a lot of credit and the management for being aggressive in looking for these low-cost, high-impact improvements. That's it. Thanks, Mayor.
Any other committees?
yeah, I have one thing about the Parks and Rec. They're going to have their 5K race this Saturday, starting at 9 o'clock. And there's also a sort of a trick-or-treating with the kids in the parking lot. And they just do a great job every year. And you get there around there, it's right in the back of the Parks and Rec. And then the run is a 5K.
Thank you. Mr. Bishop? Yes, ma'am.
I was gonna say something about Depot Street. That turned out like a really, really nice thing, what you guys said. I have actually seen a lot of people that are using it now, walking from one side of Depot Street to the other side, so.
Okay, very good. Any other committee reports? Under discussion and action by mayor and council, Community Development Block Grant 2020 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. I believe we looked at that last time.
Make a motion we endorse the CAPER report as presented and discussed over the last couple of meetings.
I'll second. Get a motion and a second. Discussions? Any discussions? Any questions? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stites.
Aye.
It is 6-0, thank you. Amendments to the planned commercial development in B3 General Business Zoning District at 2705 Market Street Northeast by NRV Marketplace LLC to allow multifamily residential uses, increased building height, reduced on-site green space, and reduced residential parking requirements, tax parcel 436-5-1. Property is designated as business commercial in the future land use map of the 2013 Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan.
I so move to approve agenda item B, the planned commercial development in B3 District, 2705 Market Street.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any comments?
I do.
Okay.
I noticed under the description, the Hotel A is still under the description. I do know that the Planning Commission has suggested we remove it, and I so agree with that as well. is still under the plans, and I wonder why are they still there. And also, the other thing that I wanted to ask was, I'm really, really excited to see a lot of the things that are going on in the marketplace, and I want to applaud you for bringing some of the businesses to the marketplace. At the same time, I am also very concerned as far as the parking spaces. One of the things that I would really, really like to see, and this is in my opinion, and this is only my vote, I would really like to see, instead of being 0.75 spaces per unit, I would like to see at least one parking spot. Because at least and I would be willing to vote on this and a yes for it if I will get like the one parking spot. Without that, it's making it really hard for me to make a decision on this, because I already see that we have so many problems with parking spots downtown Christiansburg. I don't want to have the marketplace have the same issues. So I would really I would like to see a change on this, and I hope that you guys listen to my suggestion. Maybe there is something that you guys can, I know it's short notice, but if there is something that can be done about the parking spots, it will make me a lot better about voting for this. Thank you, guys.
Six, if you read the material before you came to the meeting, you'll see that Hotel A is out.
I understand, but it's still showing under it's still there under the wording, and that to me, it doesn't.
Well, they have asked that it be taken out.
Oh, no, and he says that here. And he says that here under the one item, but he doesn't say on the very top where the description is.
The Planning Commission recommendation was to not include the building over the stormwater pond, and also to limit the height of the building at the rear to, I believe it was 187 feet. And those two were the two amendments as it was presented. Mr. Rector actually emailed me this afternoon and offered basically to withdraw the request for over the pond. So, but if you're recommending approval as recommended by the Planning Commission, that includes not allowing the building over the stormwater pond and the 187-foot height limitation on the building in the rear.
Okay.
I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Rector's in the house. I know wasn't able to be here earlier. He has been a reliable partner, and so far he's done everything, and his development company's done everything that they said they would do. So I would like to thank you for taking time to be here and for honoring your commitments today. I'm going to support the proposal. I think it's great to have residential where this is. But thank you for helping us transform this area, and for doing what you say you would do when you said you would do it for the most part. And you can't control the market, but you've been a reliable partner. Thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to add in a little something there. I was going to do this at the end of the meeting, but there's maybe a chance that you might not be here. And to me, the town of Christiansburg has been involved in two major projects during the last 4 years. And your marketplace is one of them. And I would say it has to be one of the best things that the town of Christiansburg has had, and the guts and that you have taken to develop that. And I think it's going to continue on for the next 4 years. It's going to be amazing what's going on between what you're doing and what the park is going to bring. Is going to be going to make the town of Christiansburg the retail capital of Southwest Virginia, and the place that people want to come. And you're doing it with style, and that's the big thing. Thank you.
Okay, so any other discussion or comments?
We did receive a public comment on it in favor of the marketplace, don't we, Randy?
Not prior to this meeting, but prior to his last.
We did have one today, public comments, and it was in favor of what was going on there. That was from, let's see these notes in front of me. It was from David Green on John Limley Drive. And that's, I think you all have a copy of these comments.
And my motion is for as stated per the Planning Commission requirements. There's no changes from that, just to make that clear.
Okay, and that's the second that we had is,
I'll second it.
we've already had it seconded once, somebody. Okay, so there's no question in anybody's mind, Hotel A is not in this approval. Is that clear? But doubt that. Madam Clerk? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Just making sure, obviously, it's like the planning commission said. I talked to, and I went to drive around some of the English Meadows places and another one of the nursing homes around. And with the parking spots that they had and things like that, there were enough parking spots to at least accommodate one parking spot per unit, and it was more than necessary. It was actually not enough parking spots to provide the rest of the parking spots for the rest of the staff people that are required to take care of the people that are living in these facilities.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Well, according to, as I remember the last meeting, when Mr. Simone brought it up, that you're gonna put a parking garage in, and that parking garage is going to help alleviate this parking situation. I'm not sure if I can ask Mr. to say more or not, but that is the way I understood it.
Okay.
It's only 0.75 parking spots for that unit, for the 160 units only, right? Everybody else gets 2 parking spots?
Just the independent living, the senior living would be the only place that we're asking for a reduction in parking because of the market. Any other market rate, regular apartments would park by town code, which would be 2 spaces per unit.
Okay. All right. We're done. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks?
Nay.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sachs?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stites?
Aye.
So it is 5-1, is that correct? Thank you. We have a discussion of the Blacksburg Transit Service. Randy, is that yours? Pull the mask and let's talk.
Was asked to add this to the agenda by Councilwoman Sachs. This is in regards to, I believe, the cessation of the basically the Go Anywhere service as a commuter service to Blacksburg. That was done in largely basically decisions made by the Transit Committee, Transit Working Group. That is because of the cost of the operations of the system versus the ridership. We just didn't think it was cost effective. There still is transport to Blacksburg available through transfer to the two-town trolley. Also, you could get to Blacksburg through.
If you want to talk, you speak out loud.
Radford Transit and Pulaski Transit both go to Blacksburg. Also, if you are eligible for medical care, if you're eligible for Medicaid, you can contact Newer Valley Agency on Aging for transport. I did have a couple of people reach out to me in regards to the service with concerns of loss of transport to doctor's appointments. And I did contact Newer Valley Agency on Aging. They did basically guarantee that they can provide those type trips with 5 days notice. I'd heard, I'd heard a couple of people tell me that there were cancellations on those, but they told me they don't really have a major problem with cancellations. They actually said the people that had the service previously, they just hadn't used it in several years. But they told me that, I guess staffing wise, they are able to make those trips if it's for a medical purpose.
Okay.
So those are some options for the service. I've heard, I guess, a little bit concerned with dropping back to the Go Anywhere service prior to COVID. And like I say, I guess we would be operating at those levels. We do, I guess, encourage people to use the Gold and Blue Explorer routes, the fixed route service, although we still will maintain the Go Anywhere service to supplement that.
Okay, so to address Ms. Bookout tonight, at the school, I mean, is there a bus service in town that would accommodate them. We're not cutting 2 buses out of our 3-bus system.
There's a couple of ways you could get there. You could take the Go Anywhere service to the mall, and then take if you're just going for general purposes to Blacksburg,
Now,
you
this
could.
Fallen Branch Elementary School, Randy, Fallen Branch, to get from her house to Fallen Branch.
Okay.
Is there a route that covers that?
You could use the Go Anywhere service.
Okay. I'd like to, and I'll get with you tomorrow on this, I would like to sit down, the transportation group.
I guess you said which house, I guess which house in particular. If it's along the Gold and Blue Explorer routes, they could use that. If it,
Okay. I'm not aware. Are y'all on the Gold and Blue route?
They're the fixed route service. Like I say, if it's along those routes.
Okay. I guess what I really like to do, the thing that concerns me is that I hear a lot of complaints about, you can only book the service for 2 days and you have to call back. I mean, when you have a special, I'd like to find out, is there a special exemption that they can qualify up front and said, when school is in operation, we will use your service. And how we can get around that, because I understand the phones, I understand that, they get a flood of calls in, but for future efforts down the road and maybe in a short bit, can we find out what's going on? And Ms. Buckout, what is your street again?
Darcy Drive,
Darcy?
across the street from the museum.
Oh, okay.
Randy, who made the decision about canceling this?
Transit Working Group.
Because when I contacted Blacksburg Transit, and several people have contacted them, one of the comments was that it was the town of Christiansburg that made that decision.
Town staff's part of the Transit Working Group.
Blacksburg and Montgomery County, there are several, Blacksburg and Montgomery County.
I know for the one lady that I was talking to the other day, after talking to Blacksburg Transit, one of the ways for her son to be transported to Virginia Tech in an easier way was to take the bus, the Go Anywhere bus, to the Lewis Gale Hospital, and from there they can take the other bus anywhere to the campus where he actually works at. One of the comments that was mentioned by the Blacksburg Transit people was that you can actually book those trips, I believe it was 12, 14 days ahead. So you may be able to, for the people who are listening to this, you can be able to call. That's what my understanding was, that you should be able to call and reserve those spots ahead. So,
John, I agree with you. You should be able to. Whether you can is, we don't know. It's difficult with the phone systems.
It'd be really nice to get feedback on this. And I will be in contact. I think her name was April something. I sent a message, but I will check with her. That's on my calendar to make sure that I check on. I know they're going through some health stuff in their family, so.
Okay.
Randy, this was one of my topics too. I had a few people reach out to me about the bus service. And I do feel that if we're going to put money towards the bus service that utilizes what our citizens need, I would even encourage to bring in 1 or 2 riders and get their feedback in the working group so we can get a really good, accurate level of who uses the bus system and what they need. Because I understand when it gets out to the mall, I believe, there could be a 15-minute lag, which makes you miss the connecting bus. And that can also make someone an hour and a half late getting to where they need to go. So maybe just our timeframes need to be modified too, so the connector buses are there, without some delay. So if we can just ask this working group to take another look at that, I would appreciate it.
Sure will, yes.
I think it's rather important to find out who the people are first. And then if you have that information, to please provide it to Randy. And I really provided you the information for the one person that I've been in contact with. They also went on social media. And I guess that's how Mrs. Bachner, I think it was Bachner, found out about this, which is really good. One of the other comments that I heard on Facebook was that there was not enough information to let people know that these changes were going to take effect. Maybe this is something that we can also publish under our page, our website, that these changes are coming. And some of the comments that I heard from them was that the only real reason why they found out that these changes were going to happen, it was if you actually rode the bus during these weeks, or if there was the information that was on the back of some of the buses.
Okay. Got your notes?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Okay. The next up on the agenda is the discussion of fiscal year 2021 unassigned fund balance. Mr. Wingfield, that's yours.
Yes.
Ms. Tweedy, you're here. Thank you very much.
Just I guess let you know, of course, we've got excess unassigned fund balance. This is essentially kind of rollover from last fiscal year. We have before you, I guess, potential uses for the funds. Of course, this is fairly open-ended discussion, I think, as far as the uses of it. The money would put you over the town fund balance policy of maintaining between 30 and 40% operating. So therefore, you would have to do something to assign, either spend the money or assign the money to reserves. So you know, some type of action is needed in that regard. We have, I guess, before you, I guess, a proposal for potential pay bonuses. I'll let you know the reasoning for that. The Virginia State Police are giving state police a $5,000 bonus and giving all sheriff's deputies a $3,000 bonus. They funded nothing for municipal officers. So if there was anything done for municipal offices or emergency responders, it'd have to be done at this level. Val and I have spoken about this, and we did come up with a proposal to fund $3,000 for first responders. This would be through the American Rescue Plan Act money that we have basically in the budget now. And that would be allocating a use for it. That would be an eligible use. Although we would also propose to give a $2,000 bonus from general fund for everybody else that would be eligible, with, I guess, exception of public works employees who are eligible under ARPA. We would fund that through ARPA. But again, this is for discussion of use of the funds. So,
Randy, I've been requesting information about what we were going to be and where we were going to be assigning the it was $3 million for this year, right, from American Rescue Plan?
2 points.
we're getting half of that money this year. I guess the total is about 3.15, and we've received half of that this year.
1.5, right?
Yes, 1.55, and we'll get the other half next year.
How much of the $3 million is inside the budget right now for 2021, 2022?
Half of it.
So $1.5 million, and is under what, revenue?
It is under ARPA, and it's simply unassigned ARPA funds.
Unassigned. So we still have $1.5 million that will be coming.
Next year.
And then where did the CARES Act money go? All completely was under the other budget, but.
That's correct.
And so we still had an almost over $8 million deficit when we are not talking about obviously the reserves and things like that that we use, but the money coming in and money going out. We got more, correct me if I'm wrong, but we spent more money than we got last year, correct?
You're talking this fiscal year or last?
Last year, 2020, 2021.
Bill, do you have something?
I got the budget right here. When I did the calculations, it was $8,219,000. Does that sound correct?
If you're talking about the operating budget of the
Mm-hmm.
town, which is the normal operating expenses and the salaries and wages,
Mm-hmm.
the expenditures do not exceed the revenues. The $8 million that we used was either reserve fund balances that had already been set aside for specific projects, or unassigned fund balance that was then allocated to capital projects to be completed, such as, I can't think of one off the top of my head. How many projects
The
did we do
planning of
last
the
year,
park?
Randy? I mean, we did about 7 capital projects last year. Some of them had a 20% match and were either federal or state funded. And those were the funds that were used for that. There,
It was fire reserve funds, equipment.
yeah, the fire truck was $1.5 million. That almost came 100% out of the reserve funds that we had been holding for the fire truck. And there's a number of other capital projects which we allocated general funds to, but they were funds from unassigned fund balance for capital projects, which is what we use them for, one-time expenditures, not ongoing operating costs. So operating revenues relative to operating expenditures did not exceed the revenues that came in.
And what about this
If you
year?
bring in the capital items, then it does. But that's what comes from fund balance. That's what we roll over every year. That's how we create the funds to be able to do the larger projects down the road.
But this year is 75 million, right?
You participated in that budget. That's what we're
I'm
talking
trying to
about
get
right
to the
now.
point. I'm not
Right,
finished
you're
with
saying
this.
we're in a deficit, and we're not. You're making a statement that's untrue.
I am just saying, if I, correct me if I'm
Randy,
wrong, and I
what
was just
exactly are
talking
we doing with this line item? Ms. Hicks participated in the budget.
Excuse me,
You
sir, I have
participated
not
in the
finished
budget.
talking. I'm not finished
Ms.
talking.
Hicks, you have the floor.
I have the floor.
I will reaffirm that. You
Oh,
have the
okay, I'm
floor.
sorry, I didn't hear that. So, here is my concern. We're using the American Rescue Plan to use it for bonuses, and we're using it for the park, and we're also using it right now.
No,
You aren't
We're
using-
using,
No,
we're
that's a
using,
false statement.
it says right here that we're putting some money for cash flow to use for the park project until the lots are sold on Peppers Ferry Road. So you are moving some of the money into that,
Not the ARPA.
the park.
The unassigned fund balance.
Unassigned balance. So from where is the money, where is the $3 million that we're gonna get from the American Rescue Plan? Where is it gonna be spent? Because you had mentioned to me several months ago, and you have been talking to me, that we're gonna be using it, some of the money is gonna be used at College Street.
And I still would like to use some of it for College Street.
But I don't see no money in the budget this year for College Street.
That's right, we would assign that money to it next fiscal year. Or you can assign it to it, tonight if you'd like, for that matter.
Okay. I would
And-
like to have
and-
something like that, and also discuss the fact that I would like, instead of bonuses, I would like to give people raises. We are having problems right now with hiring people. Isn't that correct, Randy?
Correct?
We have vacancies in Public Works, the Aquatic Center, almost in all the departments. Is that correct?
Wouldn't say all not all
Well,
departments.
obviously,
We probably got,
the ones that are,
Public Works and Aquatics are definitely the two largest.
okay.
Well, we can only use that COVID money for emergency responders.
Well, and the American Rescue Plan could be used for stormwater. Is that correct?
But
And
you said,
water?
no, you're going a different direction right now. I think we all could agree if some of that money can be used and we can allocate it for the stormwater, we would do it. But you talked about giving the entire population of the town employees raises, which we cannot use the COVID money for that.
I am talking to
understand that?
Randy still.
No, do you understand that? I just want to make sure you understand that.
Oh,
You
no,
made a statement that we could
he's
use
talking
that money
about,
to
he
do
said
raises.
that we have money that can
No,
be
you said we could
allocated.
use the COVID money to give raises to our entire employees, right?
No, that's the comment that it seems right here, bonuses. I would like to, instead of thinking about how we're gonna be spending money later on in the future, I would like to give them raises, not bonuses, and that's not from the American Rescue Plan. What I'm talking about, the American Rescue Plan was designed, it could be used for water infrastructure, is that correct? So in reality, we just raised the water bills just the other day. And it was because we didn't have enough money to fix the water infrastructure, isn't that correct?
It was to basically maintain the capital enterprise fund at approximately level operating because of increases from the water authority and increases for our operating costs.
I understand that, but the county and other places are using this water, and I mean, this American Rescue Plan, and allocating it to give tax credits to their citizens that also, and please don't get me wrong about the bonuses, because I want to give bonuses to our employees. I think they do a fantastic job. I think Public Works, without them, we wouldn't be here. And I think a lot of the other people that work for us, I am really, really appreciative of them. But here we keep talking about, you know, how we are losing people and how they're going to Vita and all their facilities. And we're not really, really thinking about how to give them raises and how to make sure to take care of the infrastructure. You all very well were all for the infrastructure. Let's fix the infrastructure. Here is $3 million that you're getting from the state to be able to be allocated to be able to fix the infrastructure.
What infrastructure other than the stormwater on College Street?
We got water issues. We got water lines
Where?
that will have to be replaced.
Where?
Off of Peppers Ferry Road,
Is
off
that-
of Teal Street.
Is that
off of-
planned? I mean, Randy, can you comment on this? We have a plan for our capital improvements every year that shows up in the budget.
Yeah, we do have presentations on capital projects every year.
Several times a year.
Yes.
And the American Rescue Plan, once again, it could have been used for that. Isn't that
It
correct?
could be used for water, sewer, and stormwater projects.
We have a plan. We have the water shed study that was done in 2017. How many items on that list have we done so far?
I can't tell you that off the top of my head.
It was like not many, right?
I can't tell you that off the top of my
Alright.
head.
Well, how many, Joanna? How many did we
I don't
accomplish?
recall. I was looking at it the other day and it didn't seem like we didn't go too far with it.
Are you gonna make a motion to use that money for something other than the bonuses for
No,
the
I
first
am making a
responders?
motion that
Okay.
we have until, isn't that correct, that we have until like 2026 to make?
You have a couple of years to spend American Rescue
So
Plan.
my thing is, why is this coming out a week before the elections?
We have to do something to use the unassigned fund balance. You don't have to take any action in regards to the pay increases. You could take all this money and stick it in a capital reserve fund, and that would be acceptable. If you put it into the general fund, though, you'll be in basically violation of your reserve policy, or your operating reserve, that you'd be between 30 and 40%. It's going to push you over the 40% mark. So to maintain that policy, you would need to either spend some of it or assign a portion of it.
Those are guidelines, though, aren't they?
Yes, that's correct. That's not a law. That's not a law. So if you want to be over 42%, over 40% in the unassigned fund balance, that's fine. It's just, that's basically the policy that you set.
You know,
I'll go ahead. May I have
But that was
one more
council's
minute?
policy. yeah.
May I have
Yes,
one more minute?
thank you.
I'll keep it simple. I believe this is a major discussion for council to decide what to do with a bunch of money. Keep it simple. We have a turnover on council happening. It's just a few short weeks away, a new council. This is an excellent opportunity to icebreaker conversation and activity for the new council. So I will make a motion that we take the money and put it in reserve and let the new council decide here in a few weeks.
I would second that.
The motion, second, discussion.
Is there any issue, since we did have a couple of people tonight show up about the stormwater issue on College Street, of taking half of that 1.5 million and assigning it to the College Street project, which is coming up supposedly in the next year?
The ARPA money, I mean, you could assign the ARPA money to stormwater capital projects.
Okay, well, I would like to, we
Can I
have
second that
unassigned.
No.
Well, no, I'm just, we can do
Can you
that.
make a motion?
We're in the middle of a motion.
Well,
I
feel
got
like
this.
I would like to be able to communicate how everybody feels,
Figure
to see if we do want to make a decision to go into stormwater for College Street and then bank the rest. It'd be nice if we could make somewhat of a decision tonight instead of putting it off on a new council.
Part of my with that understanding, we're getting results back from our study. When?
We are applying for the, actually November 4th is the application deadline for the resiliency grant, resiliency plan. We should have, I guess, a better idea, I would hope, within a few months of the final design.
But we don't have a hard number and a hard solution just yet, exactly.
No, we don't.
So that is, I guess that's what I'm saying. That's still, once that is known, then you have something to talk about. Is right now it's
Where to
just.
put the money?
We have a design, but it's like I say, it still is a little subject to change.
So
We're not even having work sessions about this or nothing.
We're not to that point yet, I don't believe, to make
One thing
those
I
decisions.
will point out too, of course, next year you will receive the other half of the ARPA money too.
Okay.
Can we
Any comments? Any
take a
other
vote on
comments?
what the
questions?
staff said?
Mr. Tubbs?
Yeah, is this, sorry for.
You know, Ms. Hicks, you mentioned raises for the people. I think we need to talk to Mr. Wingfield and just think, and Valerie, and tell you if we give people raises, how that will affect our budget. A bonus is a bonus, a raise is a raise. And the deal about the people living a lack of people, we can go everywhere you go here in town, they're all crying for people. And there's just such a shortage of people. So money is not the whole key to this thing, it's just a people thing. And Randy can maybe go over how raises would affect the budget. And you sort of had it in the emails that you sent out this time about raising it to $15 and how that would affect other people too. It's a pretty complicated thing, if you ask me.
The states are really changing some of those policies, and those things are gonna be coming. I want to be proactive and start giving raises to at least $12 an hour for some of these employees. We keep talking about, for over a year, we have been talking about how we're losing, how we don't have enough people that are lifeguards, how we are not having enough public works people. We spend money on doing a work study, trying to find out why they are leaving and why
I think
they're
I
not.
just explained that, didn't I just go with that?
I was just saying that it would be really nice to think about, instead of, you know, we have been talking so much about it, start with the bottom ones. Back in next year, by 2023, we really have to be paying people $12 and more. Isn't that correct?
But I don't think you can take someone from 11 to 12, and then someone who makes 14, 15, or 16, they're gonna want the same amount of raise as well. So we can't just stick with the bottom dollar amount of wages and increase those. That's
Well, I
completely
think you
unfair.
can start by paying more to the people that are even making less than $50,000 a year. I mean, we can put a cap for now, you know?
Did you see Mr. Wingfield's email that he sent out?
I have been sending the emails, I have been asking the questions.
Anybody else came in?
Joanna?
Don't we have a motion on the floor?
We do.
Yeah, there was a
Do we have a
motion.
motion?
You know, that is something, I think Brad's motion, and who seconded it?
So we've had the discussion on it. I will say I'm disappointed that we would not consider funding these bonuses as recommended by, or we felt we could do this through the finance department, town manager. I think you know, you're talking first responders, public works employees, and all other employees. These are people that held us together for the last year and a half. So personally, I'm disappointed that we're not going to move on this. So with that, Madam Clerk, would you poll council?
Could we repeat what's on the floor?
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
the motion is to let the new council in a few weeks decide what to do with this money, and in the meantime, put it in reserves. That's the motion.
And a second.
And that's a second. All right, Madam Clerk?
Joanna, you seconded it, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that'd be a second.
Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard.
Aye.
Councilwoman Sacks.
Nay.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Stites.
Aye.
That is 5-1. Thank you very much. I'm flipping too many pages here, guys. I lost all. All right. So we are now into other business. Mr. Bishop, that would be under yours.
Yes, it is.
That's what managers reports, staff reports.
You move something.
We moved that.
No, what do we do?
Thank you for coming up.
Oh, we did move that. Okay.
Something.
Staff reports.
Just like to introduce Benjamin Tripp. He's our new planning director. He comes to us from the city of Salem, where he was a planner. He has an undergraduate degree from Roanoke College and a master's in urban and regional planning from Virginia Tech.
Yep, being left early, huh?
Sorry.
Maybe we started arguing you this.
But we'll introduce him at future meeting. Also, I guess just like to bring up town calendar. You had asked us to do a little poll on Facebook, and what we came back with is 37 yes, 0 no, 26 likes, 0 reactions, and 5 shares.
You know, Randy, could we just make that digital and save that huge amount of money?
We could, and just make it available online.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
If people want to print it, they can, but
Okay.
they don't have to.
Okay.
I'd second that.
As far as photos for it, do you want those to come back to you?
They look great.
Okay. I assume you want to update it for the new council, since we'll be putting out as a 2022 calendar.
Is there any printer that would do a pre-order? If we could say, hey, whoever wants a physical calendar to contact us, pay for it.
I can ask. Usually to get price breaks, you have to do 1,000 minimum.
Yeah.
But,
It's
but, you
very,
know,
very
so it's probably going to cost you a little bit more to get an
And
individual.
you're professional.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just,
It's going to
I
be
was looking
very
for people that,
expensive at low quantities.
who like paper calendars and on the wall.
I would think it's not bad to have some of those printed calendars available simply because not everybody goes to the website. Nobody knows. So it's a matter of, people say, well, if I'd have known, I'd have been. Well, how do you know unless you look? We always will put it on the signs and this type. But I think there needs to be now it doesn't have to be a glowing 3D color blowout calendar. It could be a very simple calendar that announces this stuff. That's my 2 cents on it. What else you got, Randy?
That's all I've got.
Well, you have to make at least, 500 copies or like that, just price range, what I think. Wouldn't you? I mean, you ask for 100 and it's probably going to be the same price for 500.
Okay.
Yes, like I say, it took 1,000 to get price break. Seems to me. Yes.
Okay.
Randy, can you elaborate a little bit about the ornament thing? Is that, I saw that the application to turn it in, does that also include, because I got several calls and I didn't see some of the stuff out there as far as the information that was provided.
Are you talking
Is that
the-
just for the application to turn in if you're gonna do an ornament, or is that to say you got to bring the ornament by the end of
Is this the
October?
Virginia Municipal League?
No, I'm just talking about the Christmas ornament thing that
For
we
the
have
town.
every year.
Honestly, I'm not sure of I
Because
guess
I know you guys
where
put
this-
something out tonight, and I got several messages calls about it, and I had no clue what they were talking
I'll send you
about.
an email about it.
The ornament contest?
Yeah,
All right. So that's the one just you wanted last year, right? Yeah, the real nice one. Yeah, I thought I saw something on social media we were doing that again. Is that what you're asking about?
I did see it.
well, exactly, I know they are doing it, I just didn't know if you had to bring it by the end of October, or you gotta bring an application. Because I believe the last time you brought in the ornament with the application. I may be wrong, it's been too long already, but.
So Andrew's looking. Okay. You looking for that, Andrew? There you go.
Should we move on? Or are we just going to read this?
We
They
good
were
on that?
talking, I guess make it a little bit more specific, if that's when you have to bring the ornament,
October
Or-
October 29th.
is to bring the ornament or the application, or both?
Ornament shipped to town hall must also arrive by this time.
Wow, and that was just put out today?
No.
When was
I
that
think
put
so.
out?
I've seen it on there before. Okay. Randy, you got anything else?
No.
Reed?
Thank you.
Any other staff?
What?
Very good. Council reports. Mr. Stipes.
I have no report, but I would like to encourage people to get out and vote carefully next week. And reading the newspaper on Sunday, the comments, I would say that Ms. Hicks has said that everyone on here has served too long. And Mr. Bishop, I don't think that you've served too long. So
Everyone's in
I would just encourage people to get out and vote next week and think about what you want your future to look like, and choose wisely.
Mr. Showalter.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Hubbard.
Yeah, I would like to sort of reiterate what Mr. Stipes just said. As my tenure here on council comes to an end, I just want to say how pleased I have been to be able to work with the Mayor Barber, and how he has kept council together during these last 4 years, and Valerie and Randy and Andrew, what a great job you guys do keeping this town going. And with these two major projects I just brought out a few minutes ago on the marketplace, what an asset that's going to be for the town, and then also what the new park is going to be, how it's going to help the people of the community, and also going to help like the aquatic center is going to bring in additional revenue. And I know most of the people on council feel this way, but there are some on the council that would just want to wait till next more time or not do anything and not have any visions for the future. But I just want to thank the people, you four that I just mentioned, for your determination and to do things during this difficult time that we've had.
Thank you. Mr. Bishop.
I don't have any time.
Ms. Sachs.
I have other business, but not council report.
Okay.
Am I good to go with other business?
Yeah, I got to figure out where we are at this point in time.
Okay.
Okay, so we are council reports, other business.
Still have a couple more people, council reports.
Yes.
Joanna.
Reports.
Yeah. I think it's, I'm ready for a change, and I am really glad that we got a new council coming. Thank you.
That sure felt like a slam.
Sure did. Anyway, okay.
Jeez, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
We've enjoyed it too.
It's been a great ride, yeah.
Well, during the salmon, I'll still be here.
Yeah, I'll be here, so there you go.
I like salmon a lot. And,
All right, under other business?
I understand.
Ms. Sachs?
Yes.
Under other business?
I'm going to take my mask off. I have two topics I'd like to discuss, and one is the sirens that we identify our town, when there's an emergency. But we currently only have one downtown, and with the mall area growing as much as it is, I'd like council's request to request Chief Hanks to come into a conversation with Randy about what he feels like the need may be in the community if we need a siren out that way. I know they're not cheap, but I feel like we need to cover all of our town and not just part of it. So that's one discussion.
Shane Walt's not here. We could probably hooked him in for a siren now. He was playing.
And the other topic is business signs. I really hate to call out one place, but there is one out by the mall that no matter how many times the town pulls down their signs, they are right back out there again. There is no penalty in place for a business that doesn't adhere to the sign policy. Now, I understand you might have someone that takes an extra sign or an extra banner, very tastefully done. We get that. I don't know of anybody in the town who goes after that. What I'm talking about are the 6 in a row going down a main Christiansburg street of their signs promoting their business when nobody else in the community can do that. And if we had done that
and we let them know the problem, here's our codes, etc., you violated them, and they don't do it again, that would be different. But at least one particular business is almost touting it in our faces. And I'd like to talk to council and see if it can be on a future agenda as far as what would the penalty be if they continue to abuse the sign policy. Because if we don't have one, why even have a policy if we're not going to enforce it properly?
So are these temporary signs, is it like promoting a mattress sale or something?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
I don't know, I just took a while to
That's what I think it
stay.
is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's habitual. You know, I'll see 5 of them and ask the town to remove them because it's not fair to Verizon and Chicken Salad Chick and everybody else who'd love to have that many signs out. And then you'll give it a week and they're back out again. You can't tell me they change management that much. There's a problem.
Well, if there's one location, I would think probably a letter from the town manager.
I think we've done that, haven't we?
I know we've sent letters at least from planning. If one thing we can do, if they're in the right of way, of course the town can remove them. We can take them to court and try to get fines that way. I guess one possibility too, a potential code change, is provision in the code for civil penalties, which basically kind of almost an automatic fine for a violation.
I think we should charge whatever the sign permit is. They might think twice if they put up 6 signs and all of a sudden they get a $180 charge because they violated the code.
Okay.
That's for a future discussion. I'm just asking that if
We'll
council
watch
has
that
an
night.
interest to do it.
It's a good idea.
All right. So, any other business? Before
I
we-
would like to get a head nod though, so we can give Randy some direction.
It
Is
would
there a
have
head
to
nod
be-
on Chief Hanks?
It would have, the sign ordinance would have to be referred to the planning commission because it's in zoning.
Yes.
And of course, Chief Hanks would have to weigh in on the other. I will tell you, I think the siren is kind of used to some degree as a call for the officer, or I guess members to come as much as anything, and most of them are fairly close to the downtown area. Obviously, the town's grown a lot though since we've had the original siren.
And I'm thinking our recent tornadoes we had, although it is unusual for us to have tornadoes, we did need to alert the community in a very fast way. So I just want to make sure that we're covered with our growth.
There may be some grants for things like that if you're looking for funding. It's probably partial funding, but we can look into that.
And I feel Chief Hanks would be the best one to address this. Personally.
Can we see if what Mr. Hanks or Mark Season come out with and tell us about this? Because I personally feel like the last time, even when we had the tornado warnings, I felt like it was right there in our faces with our cell phones. I think whatever you were at, matter of fact, I was at several stores when this happened, and everybody's phones were like, bang! And so, I don't know.
But we do have an older population, I think, that doesn't hold on to their phones a lot. You know, I know my dad would miss an alert. You know, he needs something else. So it's a future conversation.
You know, we did that years and years. During my teenage years and growing up, we did have some neighborhood sirens that would notify the area that there was an emergency. Now, it just put them on alert that there could be ambulances or fire trucks within, but it was not a general, 3 blasts for this or 2 blasts for that. But it was a kind of a notice, and Christiansburg was a lot smaller then.
Right.
And what about the, while we're checking into that as well, is that a way that we can get them to check into for the people that are actually hearing impaired? I mean, there's a lot of
Then we start running into a noise ordinance, and I'm not too sure we can get into that. So,
Yeah.
but it's something to look at without question. Okay. Let's reports. Any other business?
Are we taking up any issue with the museum's request tonight, or are we going to put that in the next meeting?
It's up to you all.
Mr. Bishop's shaking his head.
I'm not ready tonight.
Okay.
That's fine. I think that was a general consensus early on, so we'll look at it at the next meeting when we had a chance to see it. Okay. Mr. Bishop?
You sure?
I believe, at this point, I'm not sure.
All right, let's
I'm
try
not sure
this.
about nothing, but
All
anyway.
right, for closed meeting, request for a closed meeting under Code of Virginia 2.2-3711A3 for the discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or of the disposition of publicly held real property, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiation strategy of the public body. The closed meeting is being held for discussion of potential acquisition of property in the downtown area, and that's in the form of a motion for closed meeting.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilwoman Hicks?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Sykes?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
That is 6:00. We'll take about a 3-minute break.